Hey everyone, Mrs. Ross here with your episode of Mrs. Ross Does Math. Today's topic is Lesson 12, specifically multiplying integers. Now over the last couple of days we have been working with adding and subtracting integers. Again, we're adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. Today we are going to be focusing on the multiplying of them. Now, multiplying and dividing integers is slightly different than adding and subtracting, so I do have a memory tool that will be very, very useful for you as we progress through our coursework. All right, let's get this going. So today's lesson is, once again, Lesson 12, multiplying integers. Our essential question, or the item that you should be able to answer by the end of this lesson and your practice today, is what memory tool can I use to multiply and or divide positive and negative integers? Let's get this started. Now, multiplication is also something called repeated addition, okay? And this is something that's really useful for you guys to know, and the reason why is because multiplication is the repetition of a group of numbers. So instead of me going 2 times 2, or in this case, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, which would give me 8, I could just go 2 times 4 because I have 1, 2, 3, 4 2's in this particular equation. Okay? So whether I go 2 plus 2, which is 4, plus 2, which is 6, plus 2, which is 8, or I go 2 times 4, either way we're still going to get the same answer. Now this repeated addition comes in handy when we are using number lines for multiplication. So keep that in mind as we progress forward. Okay. Now the memory tool that I am going to suggest that you guys use is something called the Negative Tic Tac Toe. Now the Negative Tic Tac Toe is literally just that. It is a tic-tac-toe with some strategic placement or some very specific placement of positive and negative signs. So when we multiply integers or other numbers, we can use a negative tic-tac-toe to determine if our final answer will be positive or negative. So I'm going to highlight this here. So once again, we can use a negative tic-tac-toe to help us determine if our final answer will be positive or negative. Here we go. And remember, if you need to at any point pause this video, please go through and do that, okay? With a negative tic-tac-toe, it is literally that. I am going to draw, in this case, 4 lines, or here, 1 line going down, another line going down, 1 line across, and another line across. So 4 lines. And in my first grouping of lines, I'm going to put a plus sign, a minus, a minus. I'm going to have a minus, a plus, and a minus in my middle row. And I'm going to have a minus, and a plus. The easier way to do this, or to think about this, is if we draw our tic-tac-toe, we put plus signs going in a diagonal, and then everywhere else here is going to get a negative. Now, what this is going to tell us when we are multiplying 2 integers together is what the outcome of our answer would be. So I can go up and down to find out what my answer is. I can go diagonal to find out what my answer is. I can go left to right to find out what my answer is. I can go right to left. I can go down and up. I can go all of those different directions, but no matter what, where I land on this is what the answer to my problem will be. So here, if I have a positive times a negative, my answer would be negative. If I have a negative times a positive, my answer will be negative. If I have a negative times a negative, my answer will be positive. If I have a positive times a negative, my answer is going to be negative. So no matter what, here, whichever direction we go, up, down, diagonal, backwards, forwards, our answer is going to be the final place of where we land. Okay? Now this is going to be very helpful when we get going with our practice problems for today. So here's this. Let's see if I can get this all on the same page here. Okay. So let's say I've got this practice problem here. 5 times 4. Or in this case, 5 times negative 4. We know that 5 times 4 is 20, so we're going to put 20 down. And now we're going to figure out what is the sign. Well, I'm going to find my positive, which is my first column. Then I'm going to find my negative, which is here, which means that my answer is going to be negative. I could also try that going up and down. My first number is positive, my second number is negative, so my answer is going to be negative. So here, this is going to be a negative 20. All right, next. I have negative 2 times negative 6. 2 times 6 gives me 12. So now I'm going to go negative times negative, which gives me a positive. So my answer is simply 12. Again, we could also go down, negative times a negative. Our answer is a positive. Let's keep this going. Here, we have negative 10 times 10. What do you think our answer is going to be? Positive or negative? Okay, so here, I'm going to go a negative times a positive is going to give me a negative. So I'm going to put a negative. And then my answer is 100. So I get negative 100 as my solution. And finally, I have 11 times 7. That's pretty simple. That's going to be 77. And now here, once again, I have a positive times a positive. My answer is positives. So what can go up and down? We can go diagonal, or we could go left to right, just like we read, and able to use this diagram to assist us. Once again, we can also go up and down. We could also go right to left, and we can still do diagonals. No matter what, we will be able to use this diagram to guide us in our assignment. Now, your assignment, which you can find in Canvas, is Lesson 12, Multiplying Integers. It is a editable PDF. Okay, so you'll be able to access this online. Now, for numbers 1 through 3, I'm asking you to use this number line to guide you as you're going through here. Okay, so if I'm at 2 on my number line, which would be right here, I'm going to do 2 4 different times. So I'm going to go 1, 2, whoop. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Okay, and because 2 by itself is just 2, I'd start here as my 1, then I'd go to 2, then that would be 3, and here would be 4. So my answer would be 8. Okay. Moving on down into numbers 4 through 18, we are once again going to use that number line to help guide us. So I'm going to highly recommend that you keep your your negative tic-tac-toe around to assist you. We draw plus signs in a diagonal and negatives everywhere else. So here, I'm going to go 6 times negative 2. Well, 6 times 2 would be 12. And I'm going to have a positive times a negative, so my answer is a negative. So my answer is negative 12. And you're going to use that as we're progressing through here.